And once more, we're back. Hello, friends. Welcome. Or if you've already seen my channel before, welcome back. I'm the Philadelphia Whovian. And for this one, we're finally going to be talking about something I said I'm going to talk about a while ago, and that is the story of The Brain of Morbius by Robert Holmes, which I now know is by Robert Holmes. You see, here's the thing. Sorry. Oh, I'm smurring and stammering already. Sorry. But here's the thing when it comes to this story. I've always ranked the story relatively low, The Brain of Morbius, because I was worried I did not know who actually wrote it. There was some slight tension in the background when it came to the production of The Brain of Morbius. You see, it was written initially by Terrence Dicks, but he went on vacation and there needed to be rewrites. So Robert Holmes stepped in and did the rewrites because they could not get a hold of Terrence Dicks. And as a result, I knew about how Terrence did not, write it, and when it came to the final product, so he said, take my name off of it. I knew there was some type of drama in the background, but I did not know anything else about that. I had no idea until someone told me. That got entirely resolved. Terrence even commemorated, eventually, Robert's work on The Brain of Morbius. And I think someone even told me, I could be wrong, that he was the one who actually novelized this story. But again, I could be wrong about that, as someone who's more knowledgeable than me. But as a result, we have now a story where, oh, I know who mostly wrote it. I know it belongs to Robert. I know that he was the one who was the main person who did it. So I can now judge it more fairly. So I went back and rewatched it. I was recommended to, and I'm happy I did. The Brain of Morbius. Did you hear a screech? If you did, my bad. That's a car outside. What can you do? This camera is not always that great at picking up on my voice, but it can pick up on noises completely heard outside on the street. I know, technology, right? Right? Well, either way, with The Brain of Morbius, I sat and rewatched it. And the first thing that I immediately was struck by, which is something I'm struck by the entirety of the Fourth Doctor's second season, the lighting and the set design. The Fourth Doctor's second season, if you see something move behind me, don't worry, it's not a bat. It's my cat climbing something. Now, here we go. Oh no, all the distractions. And the set design and the lighting for the Fourth Doctor's second season was always very good. From Terror of the Zygons to the Seeds of Doom. The set designers, the lighting designers, electricians, and the directors were all top-notch, grade A. They were the best, end of story. And because of it, they set the scene really well for The Brain of Morbius. But another thing I noticed very soon going into it, it's like, oh my god, because the very beginning we see a mutt getting killed. A mutt is from the episode The Mutants, from the Third Doctor's era. When I first saw The Brain of Morbius, I had not seen The Mutants yet, so I did not know this was a throwback to the Third Doctor's story of The Mutants. So when I sat down and watched it again, I said, oh my god, that's a mutt! That is a mutt! Throwback! And I like throwbacks. I'm, nostalgic that way. I like a good throwback. And I like seeing that. And I know the Doctor eventually references that it's a mutt that he sees. And it's like, oh, now it's all coming together for me. And then there's Kondo, sorry, I'm not good at pronouncing his name. The one who, who the scientist took the hand of. And as a result, Kondo, I'm not good at pronouncing that name, but he was a very sympathetic character you do care for, and the actor did a very good job with it. And then we get the scientist himself, who again, fantastic performance. The scientist who was there to experiment and therefore create a body for Morbius, this Time Lord who was supposed to be killed, executed a long time ago. We have the Sisterhood of Karn. This story, The Brain of Morbius, gave us the Sisterhood of Karn. And they are a wonderful addition, and we see them again in The Night of the Doctor. I love them. I think they're wonderful, and just a very unique, concept. I know it's not original because it's inspired by, of course, historical, Vestal virgins or priestesses. But that's still a good way to adapt them, is what I'm saying. So I still appreciate them a great deal. And when it comes to my favorite performance of this, okay, yes, the scientist was amazing. Yes, the Sisterhood of Karn, all those actresses were amazing. Kondo, was amazing. But the two best performances still go to the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, but the main driving performance of this for me is Elizabeth Sladen, Sarah Jane Smith, especially the scenes where she goes blind. Elizabeth Sladen played that to perfection. I remember sitting there watching for the first time and I was like, she's amazing! Oh my god, this was one incredible woman! And she was spellbinding in that performance, and I'm very proud of her for it. I mean, she's always good. Elizabeth Sladen is always good. But just seeing her in this really worked very well for the story. And when it comes to the story itself, it has a very Frankenstein element to it of, you know, the scientist being on, this planet of Karn, and he is trying to create a body for a brain of a Time Lord who he thought was an absolute genius. And this body is really distorted. It's just it's like a complete amalgamation of all these different creatures. And it literally is Frankenstein. It really is. And eventually he does get the brain in there, but when the Doctor shows up, he's like, oh my god, the Doctor has the perfect head, and he wants the head. He wants the Fourth Doctor's head so he can use it for Morbius. Now, I've heard some criticism about that being the fact that, well, why don't he just, you know, take the Morbius brain and put it inside the Doctor instead of just doing this whole, you know, distorted body. But that's the idea of genius. Sometimes people are so smart they can't realize they're being stupid. So I think that that's the condition of the scientist. He prizes his genius, and that he doesn't even notice, oh, there's a better way of doing something. But again, I do feel bad for Kondo. What? I don't know how to pronounce his name. I feel very bad for him. I feel very bad for Elizabeth Sladen and Sarah Jane Smith because she was terrified in this story. But here's the thing. Well, the one thing that I do have about this story is the Fourth Doctor. And Tom Baker played him to perfection, and I enjoyed the Fourth Doctor overall, except for this one moment. And this moment was when he leaves Sarah Jane Smith in the scientist's domain, house, whatever you want to call it, despite the fact that he had poisoned them already, and he begged the Sisterhood for the Fourth Doctor's head after the Sisterhood had captured the Doctor. So he returns, and I know it's like the Fourth Doctor's like, I guess he's like picking the safer the evils. Is Sarah Jane Smith safer with him, or is she safer in this scientist domain? But I honestly think, logically, she is still safer. Wherever the Doctor goes, she's safer with the Doctor. So for him to say, Sarah Jane Smith, you should stay here. No. She should not stay there at the scientist's home of the man who just drugged her and you, and then asked for your head. She is by herself, and she can be easily overpowered and hurt by this guy and Kondo, whatever his name is, because there's 2 against 1. What are you doing, Doctor? No, this is literally putting your companion into a dangerous situation where she can inevitably get hurt. Not the biggest fan of that sort of situation. Not the biggest fan. But outside, overall, I do think this is a very enjoyable story. I get why people do not like it, though. I do. I always get when people do not like things. Guys, I'll make it very clear. I always do. I understand where you're coming from, and I understand those people who do like things. I always understand where you're coming from. This one is an enjoyable story for me. It's not my favorite of the season. That will probably always go to Terror of the Zygons and also Seeds of Doom. But still, it was still a satisfying story to an overall very excellent season. So, I admit, now that I'm more enlightened on the brain of Morbius, I am made more aware about what, was happening in the background, and I'm able to make a better conclusion or better idea of what the story, how I should rate it. And I think it as overall a very enjoyable story. And sorry if I was not that clear and coherent with this video. Got a little tongue-tied there. Thank you guys so much, but yes, I admit, changed opinion. I've seen the light. And see, it goes to show you I am not entirely without reason. I can be reasoned with. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you again very soon. I promise. I will. I promise.